everybody, welcome back. It's Garubas here with another video. I have to apologize for the long delay since the last time I recorded, but unfortunately, well, not necessarily unfortunately, but I've been going through a house remodel. We've been redoing our kitchen, which has taken up a lot of my free time, and unfortunately hasn't allowed me to record any videos recently, so that has been the reason for that. So we're back today. We're gonna go over quickly some new hardware I bought in preparation for part 2 of my case review. Part 1 I recorded probably, gosh, a couple of months ago now, and there's probably a few of you out there wondering if I was ever going to get back around to getting part 2 out there. Let me just ease your nerves. Yes, part 2 will be coming. It is on its way. Should be right after I'm done recording here today. As I mentioned, I just purchased a bunch of new fun stuff for the new case. Obviously it's a lot bigger, it's got a lot more space, and I wanted to be able to put hardware in there that could take advantage of that. So without further ado, let's RGB all the things. So first order of business, we got some new fans. I got those popped open here. These are gonna be case fans. They're not gonna be going on any of our radiators. So these are some fans from a company called Up Here. I've never actually used any of their fans before, so I'm curious to see what they're gonna be like. But the reviews that I read on Amazon were all very positive, and I'm excited to see what they look like. So as you can see here, they are full, the blades themselves are actually RGB, as well as a ring around the outside. I wanted to get these because I'm actually going to be putting them, I don't know if you guys can see it through the case, but there's a fan mounting bracket here that mounts them vertically across. And I'm going to mount 3 of them across the back, and this is a 6-pack. So I'm going to have 3 across the back. Probably going to put 2 in the front here so you get some nice glow through the front of the case, as well as back inside the case. And if you've done the math, that's a total of 5. I'm either going to not use the 6th fan, or I'll put the 6th fan somewhere on the bottom of the case. As you can see here, there's also a little controller. It's got a little strip of 3M tape, which I'm probably gonna tape to the bottom or stick up underneath the motherboard tray inside the case to get that tucked up out of the way. Next, I'll introduce the new water cooling tubing that I'm gonna be using. As you can see here, this is from Primo Flex, and if you've not noticed before today, I'm a big fan of the color orange, and so I went with some really nice bright neon orange tubing. I'm really excited to try this out. I've not used anything from Primo Flex before. One of the things I really liked about this package, as well as just the color, and if I can get this open, this box also came included with some sys prep. So we can run this through. It's a pre-treatment concentrate that we mixed with some distilled water, which I have over here, still from my last water cooling project. And run it through your loop, and it kind of cleans everything out and gets it ready for water cooling. And then of course it has its Liquid Utopia, which is cooling loop protection. So this is what you would, again, combine with the distilled water to fill the loop long term. So I like that this all came as part of the tubing package, because obviously the liquid that I currently have in my cooling has been running in there for a few months, so probably not a bad idea to just change it out altogether as I move everything around. And this saved me from having to go out and buy that water cooling additive separately. The other reason I needed to get new tubing is because my existing water cooling loop, many of those parts are actually going to wind up finding their way over. And if you can see it back there, that's my streaming PC. So a lot of my water cooling that's in my gaming PC is going to move over to the stream PC, so I won't have the tubing necessary to run both loops. So this will allow me to do that. If you notice back behind the tubing box, I got myself a little fan controller here, since we are going to be adding a number of fans between, well, the Up Here we won't need to connect to this hub because it's got its own hub as part of the kit. But, and we'll get to these in a second, I have a bunch more water cooling fans over here that we're going to be adding to the system, and my motherboard doesn't have enough fan headers to control all of those. So that will allow that. And because our case is so stinking huge, I got some 4-pin PWM fan connector extension cables that will allow me to route all of my cables appropriately. Since this case is so wide open, there's really not a lot of room to hide cables. This will allow me to kind of tuck it back into corners and really keep it hidden from plain sight. Next, nothing too exciting, but we have some new fittings from EK. I need these obviously because I'm adding some new water cooling parts to my kit. And again, anything that's currently in my loop that won't be used in this case is going to be moved over to my streaming PC. Therefore, I cannot reuse any of the fittings. So any new water cooling parts I add require new fittings. Next, we got 3 120mm Vardar fans from, again, EK Water Blocks. These are gonna go on my new 360mm radiator. So I'll pull these out to kind of show you what we're working with here. There you go, nothing too exciting. Standard gray Vardar. What I did is when I went out to purchase the new radiator and fans, I tried my best to match, and if you'd seen my very first water cooling video, I used the Liquid 360 starter kit that came with the pump, CPU block, radiator, and fans, and I really wanted to make sure that everything matched. I'm a little obsessed with that. So I made sure to pick the same fans that came in that kit to go along with my new water block. So that's how I chose my fans. And these two fans are the exact same. Again, it's 3 120mm fans. And these will go together on my brand new 360mm radiator, also from EK Water Block. If you're not familiar with the 360mm radiator from EK Water Blocks, I'll pull this out here. But you can also go back and watch some of my older videos where, again, I install that 360 starter kit on my current PC in my current case. And again, I made sure to match this radiator with my existing radiator that's currently in my case. So, like I said, 3 fans, 320mm fans here. We got our spots for our new EK fittings. And yeah, it's gonna be the same thickness, same size as the one I'm currently using. So I'm pretty excited about that. Right now, my current PC, I have a 360mm and a 240mm radiator. So now we're gonna have 2 360s, and they're actually gonna go right on top here. So we're gonna have 2 360mm radiators right next to each other. Next, I bought a new mounting bracket, and I'm actually not 100% sure if this bracket is going to be mounted in this PC or my stream PC. But this mounting bracket's kind of cool. Come on, there it goes. So here it is. It doesn't look too exciting, but what I like about it is it allows me to take a vertically mounted fans. So for example, these fans are going to be mounted on the front here, and I can mount the bracket to the fans but then have my pump vertical. And that's actually the reason I bought it, is I wanted to be able to have that flexibility. The bracket that came with that Liquid 360 starter kit from EK can only mount, so basically it's the bracket without this back piece. So if I were to mount that vertically, the pump itself would be mounted vertically. And while the pump can run just fine that way, it makes it a lot more difficult for filling. I also don't think it looks as nice. I like having that pump and reservoir mounted vertically so that it just looks more natural. And now, the parts that I've been saving till the end because they are the most exciting. And I know I said at the beginning we're gonna be RGB All the Things, and I introduced the fans right off the bat to kind of get you into the idea of RGB. But next, we got ourselves a brand new EK Express 140 pump reservoir combo, RGB. So this pump is a little bit nicer. The reservoir is just a little bit bigger than the one that I'm currently using. And the reason that I went with this was because I've now expanded from the original kit, which was just radiator, fans, CPU block, and that was it. I've now expanded my loop to include GPU water cooling, as well as I've went from one 360 millimeter radiator up to two 360 millimeter radiators. So my loop itself has grown significantly from what that kit was originally intended for. And again, I wanted to take some of my older water cooling parts and move them over to my stream PC, which meant I needed a new pump, which of course meant that I needed to go bigger, better, and more RGB. So here she is in all her glory. And you can tell if you had seen the other pump, this thing is huge, comparatively speaking. So as you can see right here, this is our RGB connector that will plug into the motherboard to get the RGB. And then the other thing I really liked about this was that it was not powered off the motherboard. My existing pump only has one plug, and it's connected straight to the motherboard, and that's where it gets all the power. As you can see here, this pump comes with its own connector to plug directly into the power supply, as well as a 4-pin PWM connector that will allow me to plug into the pump header on my motherboard and control the speed of the pump. So I'm really excited about that. I didn't like having that pump pull all its power straight from the motherboard header. And last but not least, the part that I'm most excited about is I got what is called a monoblock. So what this is it's designed specific for each motherboard. And so for this one, it's designed for the Asus Strix X470 motherboard. And what a monoblock does is it not only cools your CPU, but it also cools your VRMs on your motherboard. So here it is. And again, you gotta go RGB, because we gotta RGB all the things. And as I said before, the way this is designed is it not only cools the CPU, it cools the motherboard components as well. So you can see on the back here we have our VRM, the parts that come down and cool our VRM. We got the part right here that cools the CPU, and then it's all clear nickel, clear front over a nickel back. And again, we got our RGB header right here that will allow us to plug it into the motherboard and light this whole thing up, which I think will look really nice inside the case, especially with the white interior. It'll allow that nice RGB color to reflect off all of the different parts of the case. So that is it. That is all the parts that we have for our new case. Next step is going to be to get this sucker broken down. I'm going to pull the motherboard tray out, get my motherboard installed, get the monoblock installed, get our two 360 millimeter radiators mounted up top, get all of our RGB fans mounted everywhere, and yeah, that'll be my next video. It's going to be a build video and part 2 of that case review, where I go over how it was to build in the case, show you guys the final results, and see what it looks like. I'm excited. Like I said, I really couldn't help myself after part 1, seeing how much space this case really had, seeing all the features it had as far as where we could mount fans, all of the radiator support it had up top. I just felt like it wouldn't have been doing it justice to try and take everything as is out of my existing PC and just slam it into this case. I really wanted to see what this case had to offer, see what it could do, see what it could fit, and really get a good idea of what it can do. So until then, if you guys like what you're seeing here, please feel free to follow and subscribe down below. Leave a comment if you guys have any feedback. If you guys have any questions about any of the parts that I introduced here, I'm happy to give you some information as best I can. I'm certainly no expert, but I am learning, and I'm really excited about getting into water cooling. And until next time, cheers.